Freedom of Information Act. FOIA.
BZ Watchdog News Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel where sunlight is the best disinfectant, and apparently some school administrators would rather work in the dark. Now buckle up, because for the past 2 weeks, we've been breaking down an incident out of Whitney ISD that should make every parent furious. An elementary school student, Jackson, we'll refer to him as JW, just like the district conveniently did in their own timeline, was assaulted by Shannon Mansfield, an aide who somehow thought putting hands on a child was an acceptable response to feelings. That's right, feelings. Today I'm going to read directly from the district's own timeline of events, the one they sent to JW's mother while denying her access to the video of what actually happened. And I want you to listen closely, because what they're writing and what they're doing to this child don't quite line up, unless we're calling physical restraint, dragging, and escalation student support now. And don't worry, we didn't get this footage by accident, rumor, or fairy dust. We obtained it through proper legal channels with lawful and appropriate redactions, despite every obstacle put in the way to keep it hidden. Funny how transparency becomes optional when adults mess up, isn't it? Viewer discretion is advised. What you're about to see may be disturbing, especially if you're a parent, educator, or someone who believes kids shouldn't be manhandled for not standing fast enough or performing patriotism on command. So do me a favor, smash that like button, drop a comment, follow on Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube for real police, school, and government accountability content. Because if they think this goes away quietly, they clearly don't know this channel. Let's roll the timeline, and let's call it exactly what it looks like. Now, I'm going to read directly from their timeline, so that way nobody can say that I tried to fluff this. Based on this, look at the video. He stated that he got upset because he didn't want to stand for the pledge. Started standing for the pledge and then sat down. Mansfield bent over JW and appeared to be talking to him. She put her hand over her heart, picking him up from a seated position, being moved around the table and being talked to by Mansfield, who is also modeling hand over heart. He started putting his hand over his heart. Mansfield pointed to the flag. He turned towards the flag. Mansfield still pointed and leaned in, pointed to the flag, to other students, quote unquote, tapped another student at a table behind JW and pointed to the flag, went back and stood behind JW. JW sat back down. Mansfield bent down and talked to JW. JW, quote unquote, stabbed at his tray and started trying to open his milk carton. Milk, quote unquote, bubbled up from the milk carton. Mansfield grabbed milk and tray. Mansfield took the tray away and threw it away. JW said he wasn't done with breakfast. He said he still wanted to drink his milk. When he was in my office, I asked him if he wanted to get another tray and or just milk, and he declined. JW turned around in his seat, stood up, and started walking out of the cafeteria. Mansfield started walking towards JW. When she reached JW, she grabbed him and continued to grab at him. As he was trying to get away, Mansfield pulling at his arms and pushing him forward towards exit doors. JW was trying to pull away. As they're going through the doors, Mansfield continues to, quote-unquote, escort him through the doors. Main hall, second grade entrance camera, JW trying to pull away. Mansfield still has his arms and, quote-unquote, escorting towards the office. JW starts going to the ground. He, quote-unquote, gets up, and she is still restraining / pulling on him. As we were finishing up with announcements, I overheard a commotion in the hall. As I exited the fishbowl, I saw that Mansfield was restraining JW, and I immediately told her, "Take your hands off and let him go. I've got him." I told JW to come with me to my office to cool down. He came to my office, sat down, and pulled his hat over his face. And that's their line of crap that they fed to everybody. Now that you've seen the whole video, I'm actually going to shorten my version up because we can skip a few things. This is what happened. The kid stood up for the Pledge of Allegiance, and boy, is Shannon Mansfield very adamant about standing. So he sits back down. She grabs him by the arm. He pulls away. Now she decides to grab him up and out of his seat and basically tell him that he needs to point to the flag and pledge allegiance, which, you know, he has a constitutional right to do it or not to do it. It's not up to the staff to dictate to do the Pledge of Allegiance, just like they can't dictate what religion you get to exercise or what words you get to speak. It's called freedom of the First Amendment. Now, she does go over here. She taps on a kid and basically trying to do the same thing. She's completely escalating this whole thing over a Pledge of Allegiance. This woman is deranged, mental. She needs to get some serious help if she's going to be one of these bootlegger types. Then they sit down, and guess what she has to do? She has to just keep provoking it. So the kid gets upset, puts his hand or his finger down on his milk, goes to open his milk, and guess Shannon Mansfield ain't going to have it. So what does she do? She goes and decides to grab his tray of food before breakfast is over and starts to throw it away. Like she gets to dictate what he gets to eat or how he's going to do it before the bell. Well, he starts to walk out and go. She tries to cut him off, and as he starts to run away, she reaches quickly, not walks, grabs him and starts to manhandle him. And they say this is escorting. I don't understand how this is escorting. This looks like a restraint that a police officer would put you in if you were detained or under arrest. And if you resisted, this is kind of what it looks like. Why are the children running? I mean, they're obviously scared of this aide with what she's doing in the middle of this whole cafeteria. And then she comes out this door, and she's literally like a police officer trying to restrain and arrest somebody. But look at all these kids running. This is crazy. Why are all the kids running? Because obviously they're scared. But look at this. Right here. Restrain. You're under arrest. You're under arrest for not standing for the pledge. This is ridiculous. But anyways, that's my take on it. All right, folks. Let's recap. Because apparently Whitney ISD is hoping you weren't paying attention. What we just watched wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't context. It wasn't a bad angle, bad timing, or a bad day. It was a child being physically handled by an adult in a school. And then shockingly, a coordinated effort to play it down, delay the truth, and bury it quietly like it never happened. Let's talk about that timeline they sent the mother. Carefully worded, soft language, strategic omissions. You know, the kind of document you write when you're more worried about liability than accountability. And then comes the real kicker. Delayed parent notification, delayed law enforcement involvement, no CPS report, no immediate transparency, video denied to the parent. But hey, don't worry. They internally documented it, so everything's fine, right? This wasn't incompetence. This wasn't confusion. This was damage control. This was circle the wagons, institutional behavior. This was, if we stall long enough, maybe it goes away. Except it didn't, because it happened, because there's video, because more parents are now coming forward, and because Sunlight has a funny way of exposing things people desperately want hidden. And let me be crystal clear. This channel isn't here to smear. This channel is here to document, verify, and expose. And if that makes certain administrators uncomfortable, maybe they should have made different choices when a child needed protection instead of spin. So here's the bottom line. If you are a parent in Whitney ISD, if your child has experienced something similar, if you were told it wasn't that serious, if you were discouraged from asking questions, you need to start talking to other parents, to the public, or to me. My email is in the description. Use it. And don't forget, smash that like button, drop a comment, and share this everywhere, because the only thing more dangerous than misconduct is silence. Most importantly, follow on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube for continued police, school, and government accountability. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I'm your boy BZ Watchdog, and I'll see you in the next video.
Freedom of Information Act. FOIA.
BZ Watchdog News Network.
BZ Watchdog.